is the main cause of thyroid cancer. And the levels of these isotopes in the effluent has been tested at some sites and found to be 260 times the legal limit for air and 3,200 times the legal limit for drinking water. I was especially excited to be awakened in the wee hours one morning to find about 6 to 8 ginormous trucks lined up along my street with their engines roaring. Apparently they were bringing the fracking fluid in. And since 5 wells were being drilled by this company in our city during the summer of 2009, the site across from me was a storage facility for all of their equipment. And there is no way you can convince me that this operation is anything but heavy industry. I do have photos of that if you want to see that. I can still hear the pump jack when I'm outside. And since sound travels better through solids than it does through air, yes, it does. I'm a science teacher, trust me, it does. I hear the pump jack go all night long, vibrating through the walls of my house. Petroleum odors from the well site are a common occurrence. But I worry, of course, because not all of the gaseous emissions have odors, because of course methane is odorless. And I worry about what I have actually been exposed to because the drilling companies are protected by state law, and they do not have to reveal what chemicals they use. Also, state law says that doctors do not have to disclose health issues that are associated with drilling. So if my neighbor got sick because of something due to the drilling, they would not be able to warn me about it. The location of deep well injection sites do not have to be disclosed to the public either. But I do know that a significant amount of the fracking fluid is still underground in the Marcellus shale layer beneath my feet, not here. And since this normally impermeable rock layer has now been compromised, fracked, one has no guarantee that the petrochemicals in the fracking brine won't leak into the water table above the shale layer. Now I have city water, but these contaminants can't get into surface water supplies. And if you rely on groundwater as your sole source of water, and some people do, it could become permanently contaminated. I was appalled to learn that 6 million gallons of fresh surface water is used to frack each well. Then that contaminated water, the part that is brought up with the covered brine, is permanently eliminated from our fresh water supply. And being contaminated must be permanently stored in deep injection wells. Some states, like Pennsylvania, have banned the storage of this fracking waste. So they, and other states like Texas, ship it to Ohio to be stored. So one non-renewable resource, fresh water, is depleted to obtain another non-renewable resource. And in my area, because we're up in Broadview Heights, we all know what lake effect precipitation means. So in addition to Lake Erie's benefits for industry, drinking water, and recreation, the lake also sustains a unique weather machine, which in turn sustains a considerable agricultural economy. I'm not sure where your freshwater source would be here, but ours would be coming out of the lake and the streams that go into the lake. Using this much fresh water for drilling could result in damaging our region's economy. Last summer, around July 4th, another well was drilled 600 feet behind me. Again, I had no say, and neither did the residents in the apartments that it abutted. It is a sad fact that many residents, particularly like renters and residents of developments of homeowners associations, do not own their mineral rights and often have no say-so in the signing or controlling of oil leases. And I advise everyone here, check your deeds. I had to relocate my July 4th picnic since there was no way that I would allow my grandchildren to be exposed to the hazardous chemicals from a drill site. Now, I did have a handout there, I think it's disappeared, but there are reference sites you can go to. There are more than 700 chemicals that can be used in fracking fluid. They're not all used at once. More than 2/3 of them are toxic in some way, shape, or form. Some of them to the point that you need protective clothing to handle them. Many of them I could never keep in a high school chemistry lab because they were that hazardous. They can cause damage to your liver, your central nervous system, your endocrine system, your circulatory system. Some of them are mutagens, some of them are abortives. Some of them cause birth defects. Well, you can look that up. So what I have learned is that my property value has gone down. Yes, it has gone down. It is an industry standard that insurance companies will not cover damages due to fracking or drilling, neither property damage nor personal injury. Nationwide was criticized for this. So I talked to my son-in-law, who's one of the big heads down in Nationwide in Columbus. He said, no, that is an industry standard. Several major mortgage companies will not grant mortgages for properties which are part of a drilling unit. And this definitely affects your home marketability and any loans that you might want to get against your home value for improvements. Neighborhood integrity has definitely been destroyed. We've lost our neighborhood pride, the peace, and the trust, and neighbors are pitted against each other. Some residents signed willingly, but many were lied to, coerced, harassed, and in some instances threatened into signing. Our government has lost a considerable amount of integrity in my eye when it legislates that some industries have more rights than other industries do, or more rights than people do. It amazes me how people won't buy banned fruit from a local student, but will eagerly sign an oil lease contract with a perfect stranger. And I remind people, if you want the truth or unbiased information about drilling, don't ask the landman. After all, don't take this personally. If you wanted to buy a Chevy, I'm going to put that in quotes, I own a Chevy, nothing against Chevys, it's just a word I put in here. Would you trust the Chevy salesman to tell you all the problems that that Chevy car has? I own a Chevy, don't criticize it. Make no mistake, I like my petrochemicals. I like them just as much as anybody else in this room. But we need to find a safer way to extract them from the ground, to not put fracked wells in densely populated areas, to develop and use a non-toxic fracking brine, and to recognize the equal rights for everybody. My rights should not be abrogated, and drilling companies should not be exempted from laws that other industries must follow. And finally, what I've come to realize that ignorance truly means that one has access to the truth and viable information, but you just choose to ignore it because it doesn't pay as well as lying does. I still believe that I have a right to safe air, safe water, safe land, and a safe future. And I thank you very much for letting me speak.